stuff.
The flip is going on here. You got the recorder? Oi. Bidda-ding, didda-ding. It's the anonymous GM. That song, though. Yep. Come on, come on, come on.
We have to scoot over a bit, or we good?
It seems fine. Hey, you guys want to be here?
Hey folks, thanks for joining us. We're just about to get going. We didn't do one of these shows last week.
Because y'all.
It was a bye week first.
JK, love you guys.
It was a bye week.
What? I censored myself. What?
Nothing. I can't. Because, yeah. Anyways.
What was the reason then, John, huh?
Well, no one heard it, so that's a good thing.
That's good. All right. Okay.
Talking about some basketball, man. What are you doing?
Let's talk about some hoops. You ready? Put this here.
Sure.
Be in the
Oh,
way.
no, I'm going to be typing.
Yeah.
Okay.
At some point or another.
Okay. Right there's fine.
Mario's
Just,
usually quieter. Let's put it over here.
Just hit the red button and then to stop it, hit stop.
Sure.
Or if we need to pause it, hit the red button again. But yeah, do what you gotta do. All right. Turn my cellular phone off.
Are we ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back into the RGVSports.com RGV Hoops podcast. This is episode 4 and it's coming to you a week late.
Episode 3.
No, I
Coming
put
to-
episode 4 on the thing.
It's episode 3.
No, it can't be because I have 3 weeks worth of upset alerts already in the
Okay,
book.
all right. That's right. One didn't go up on the podcast.
Oh, you're right.
And we had 2 and 3. Okay, so you're right.
So yeah,
All right, we're
it's
good.
episode 4. Come on, I got this. We are back after a week delay. I was sick last week, and you'll hear the remainders of that throughout the show this week, I'm sure. A cough and a sniffle here and there. And the rest of the group could not soldier on without their fearless leader. So we are back after a week's hiatus, ready to get you all caught up on everything you missed in the interim. Busy week for us, too, with the realignment and everything. So, again, that's another thing you guys can check out if you're a Hoops listener only and you might have missed it. We did a realignment podcast. I say we, I wasn't there. There was a realignment podcast that was done on Monday. With these guys and Dennis Silva, so get yourself caught up on that over there, that on the RGV Sports. Talk to the people about, John, where they can find our show, because I know I personally had some issues tracking it down. What is it on
Well, you
now?
can find all of our... first of all, I brought this up a couple episodes ago. RGVSports.com used to be on iTunes. We had a feed set up through iTunes where all of our shows would go right to your smartphone or your Apple device, be it your iPod, iPad, whatever. Due to some technical difficulties beyond our control... Excuse me.
Sorry. I mean, that's going to happen.
Due to some difficulties beyond our control, we are no longer using the audio hosting service. Something was messing up with our files and they were not uploading. And that's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot. Doesn't do you any good to do that. So we have since switched audio hosting services. We are looking to getting back on iTunes soon.
Are we?
Yeah, we are.
We're independent now.
No, we're looking to get back onto
We don't
iTunes
need
soon.
iTunes.
Thank you for bearing with us in that. You can find all the podcasts up until then on RGVSports.com or we're using our audio hosting service now is Podbean, #no sponsorship. But all of our podcasts, if you want to find them easier, they are at RGVSports.podbean.com. That's PODBEAN.com.
And they're on the YouTubes.
And they're on YouTube as well. But again, we are looking for getting back on iTunes. The one, if you still have an iTunes feed for us on, for whatever reason, delete it, get rid of it because it's dead. We're not using that one anymore. We're going to find a new one, and we'll let you know when we have that new one. So
there you go. So now we're all caught up. Okay, so we'll start with who goes first this week. Well, I guess it's John's week again. Mario skipped his week last week. So, John, we'll start with you. Give me just the game of the last 2 weeks. What's the biggest game that we missed? And then any other news you want to hit on while I give you the microphone here.
Well, where do we begin? We got 2 weeks of games here to go through. Big game between Sharyland High and Mission Vets. Went 1 point decided in overtime. Mission Vets got the better of Sharyland High there. Valley View upset Rio Grande City 50-48. Rio Grande City, from what I understand, missed 19 free throws in that game. That's not going to do you any favors. Rio Grande City beat Vela by 10 points on Tuesday. Harlingen beat Brownsville Vets by 7 on Tuesday. We've had all kinds of good games. It's been a while. You want to talk about maybe some games I covered? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, did you have a good one that you covered? That you
I did. It was last Friday. I covered a game between McAllen Memorial and McAllen Rowe. That game was at Memorial High School. This was in 36A. And I was really impressed. Memorial got the win. I think it was 55-50. And I was really impressed with Memorial. It's probably the best I've seen them play of the 2 years I've been covering girls basketball. The first time I've seen Rowe lose in person. Rowe has pretty much been the team to beat in this district. They've only lost one. In the 2 years down here for 36A, Rowe's only lost to one team in district, and that's been McAllen Memorial. Ebony Johnson was fantastic in this game. She's a 6'1" post, but they've been trying to make her more of a three-point shooter, which sounds kind of crazy because, especially in girls basketball, height is such a premium, especially down here in the Valley. You'd think they just want to make her a traditional low-post player. But if I was Coach Ederdondo there at McAllen Memorial, I'd be doing the same thing because there are some other bigs in this district that can give Ebony Johnson some fits down low. Make her three-point shooter. Draw some of those defenders outside and open up some space for your guards to go in and attack the paint. That's what happened in this game. Ebony Johnson hit 4 3-pointers. Really opened up some things there for McAllen Memorial's offense. Really frustrated Rowe's defense. Their guard play was fantastic. Their defense was fantastic. Their interior size was fantastic. Like I said, completely well-rounded team. It was a stark contrast from a couple weeks ago when they lost to Palmview, and really kind of a underwhelming performance from them. So
there are a ton of different things I want to get into with you over the course of the show, but before we do that, I don't want to bury any kind of a lead as it relates to Mario. So what do you want to get into off the top? News, big games the last couple of weeks, anything you need to hit early on before we get into some district-by-district talk?
The biggest thing might be 31-6. I think we already know which teams are going to make the playoffs. North had a 3 to 4 game losing streak. I think it was 3 games.
Which North?
PSJ North. They lost 3 in a row, came back and won 2, and then they lost Tuesday. But that was a big blow for them, for PSG North, in a district where you can't really have any type of losing streak. They lost 3 in a row, starting off with that game with that buzzer-beating three-pointer that we all saw on YouTube that almost broke the internet. And Westaco High covered their game over against Edinburgh North last week, and Westaco won. And as long as Westaco wins out, they should win the district title for a second year in a row. Their biggest hurdle this year was Edinburgh North, who they lost to the Open District, and they beat them this time around. So as long as they just stay on pace and beat the teams they've already beaten, they should win the district title. And so I guess everyone else is playing for second through, I guess, seeding at this point, 2, 3, and 4.
What was the best one game, whether you covered it or otherwise, that you would like to hit before we get into some stuff?
It might be that Westaco Edinburgh North game, just because I thought Edinburgh North was the second or third best team coming into the year, and they lost to Edinburgh North in the district opener, and kind of opened my eyes and kind of looked like they'd be beatable from there on out. But then they've regrouped since then, won 6-7 in a row, and they just look like the most complete team. I know Vela is loaded, but I think a lot of people just sleep on Westaco just because that district's kind of loaded. I think it's kind of hard to stand out, but at this point I think they've done enough to separate themselves. They have so many good players. Nick Mora, just free, leads them on any given night. Best flat top in the Valley, I think, as John can attest. And just my favorite to be one of those 3-round playoff teams. Wouldn't be surprised if they go to the 3rd round along with Vela and maybe Edinburgh North too. But
how strong is Free's flat top game? Like even during football season, whenever he took his helmet off, like that thing was still like pristine.
That's next level.
Oh yeah, He's like the Amon Shumpert of the Valley in terms of hair, man. You're not messing with that.
Word.
Yeah, and it's pretty crisp all the time. You never see him. Like I've never seen him on the last day before haircut day. It seems like his haircut's always on point.
How many times do you think he gets it shaped up in a given month?
Considering that I cut my hair once a week, I'd imagine he has to be at least once a week.
Good to know. Good to know.
I mean, you gotta pay the cost to be the boss. So
for sure, dude. For sure. So we'll get back to you a little bit. I want to start. Let's go put John on the hot seat.
Okay.
District 36A. You talked about this already a little bit. Rowe suffered their first loss. Can two lost teams, Memorial, that be McCown Memorial or La Jolla Palmview, make a play at the district title here?
Yeah, there's a chance we could have a three-way tie here for district title because you got Rowe. The big game here is going to be on Friday. It's Rowe at Palmview. I wrote a little bit about this in the notebook that's out today's copy of the Monitor. It's on RGVSports.com as well. Palmview has beat, in the last 2 years since they've been in 36A, Palmview has beat every team in this district except for Rowe. They're 0-3 against Lady Warriors. For whatever reason, they can't really kind of ascend that hurdle. This would be a hell of a time to do so because then you just got to play, I believe I'm looking here, you got to play Juarez Lincoln, which is a team they probably stand a good chance to beat. So if there's going to be a three-way tie, Palmview has to beat Rowe. If Rowe beats Palmview, they're probably going to hang on and clinch the district title outright. Here's for me, I know Palmview's been playing very strong as of late, and I would not be surprised if this was a close game. But I think Rowe is just a bad matchup sometimes for Palmview because Palmview, they've got size and they've got guards, they've got speed, they've got everything you want for a successful basketball team. But Rowe has all of that plus just a little bit more. Their guards are a bit bigger and just as fast as Palmview's guards are. They're a bit more experienced. Their bigs play bigger. That's one thing that Coach Anissa Reyna of Palmview said when I talked to her on the phone. Is like, we need our bigs to play big. They've been playing bigger for them in the last couple of games. They're going to need that big time against Rowe. So I'll be curious to see how that one's going to go. Mario's going to be at that boys game. I guess you could talk about that here in a second. But like I said, if there's going to be a three-way tie, Palmview has to beat Rowe. If Rowe wins, they likely hold on. And I was asking around, like, what happens if there's a three-way tie for first place? All three teams would share the district title. We'd have tri-district champions. But in terms of seeding, if the coaches could negotiate it amongst themselves, there would be a three-team round-robin tournament to figure it out.
It's usually coin flip.
Yeah. Huh?
It's usually coin flip.
Right, but I mean, all it takes is just one coach to say no. So it takes three to tango. So if the three coaches can't figure it out, and I mean, especially in 36A, because they all got to go play Laredo schools. It's not like they're playing other Valley schools. So the number one seed might be worth playing for because then you play the weaker Laredo school in this playoff round instead of having to play, I don't know, like a Del Rio or somebody. So
right. In 31 6A, and we're going to weave our buy or sell segment into this, although I fear it might be a little bit too easy this week. Westlake High is still undefeated. Yep. Do you think that they can make it all the way as the unbeaten team?
I do.
Couple games left.
I do. They got 2 games left. They got Econ and Westlake East. I don't think either of those teams pose too much of a threat to them. I think the only 2 teams in this district that give Westlake High problems are PHA North and Edinburgh High, and Econ and Westlake East are not PHA North and Edinburgh High. So I think Westlake absolutely will finish undefeated, barring some kind of catastrophic injury. As long as they're healthy and they're taking the court with their key players, then yeah, they're gonna finish undefeated for sure.
You mentioned Economides and Westlake East. These are 2 teams that are in the mix for playoff spots, along with Edinburgh North. They all have to compete for that one last spot. So who's going to get in? Who plays who the rest of the way? What do we need to look at as far as this playoff chase?
Well, just like in 36A, where the 3 teams can tie, Westlake East, Econ, and Edinburgh North cannot tie because Econ and Edinburgh North play each other in the last week. So for however reason, I don't think that's going to happen. Westlake East didn't do themselves any favor by losing to Econ a couple weeks ago. Now I think they have to win one of their last 2 games, and their last 2 games are really tough. They're on the road at Edinburgh, and then they host Westlake High.
Wow.
That's really, really tough for them. Edinburgh North, however, has a bit easier go of it. They have PSG Memorial on Friday, a team that is winless in district so far, and they go to Econ, a team that I think they beat in round 1. So I know earlier at the beginning of these podcasts, I said Westlake East and Edinburgh North were going to play each other again for a play-in game. I think Westlake East is going to lose their next 2 here, and I think Edinburgh North's Lady Cougars are going to get that 4th and final playoff spot. Like they're going to owe a debt of gratitude to Edinburgh Economides for tripping up Westlake East along the way. Because if Westlake East doesn't lose to Econ, I think we are going to see a play-in game. But
who does Economides play aside from North?
They've got Wesleyan.
Okay, so they're not in it.
No.
Okay, well that makes sense to me then. In 32-6A, Harlingen High still undefeated. Buy or sell them finishing that run?
Oh, I'm buying it hardcore. The only team in this district that was going to give them fits was Brownsville Veterans. Although the Los Fresnos played them very well as well a couple weeks ago. I should give a shout out to the Lady Falcons there. But Harlingen's last 2 games are at Lopez and Harlingen South. I don't see, again, assuming they're healthy, I don't see a reason why they should drop either of those 2 games.
That being said, Harlingen South, pretty good team at 7-5. Them along with Los Fresnos at 6-6. Hannah at 5-7 and Rivera at 5-7 are fighting for 2 playoff spots. Of those 4, which 2 are getting in?
I think Harlingen South's going to get in. The magic number for them is 1. They got to win just 1 more game. I think they beat San Benito on Friday. They play Harlingen High to finish out the season, but I don't think that game's going to matter for them. I think they beat San Benito. Harlingen South's going to get in. Los Fresnos has to win one of their last 2 as well. They play Brownsville Vets on Friday. I think they dropped that one, but I think they beat Hannah on Tuesday. But here's the thing. I feel like Hannah has to win their last 2, and they play Rivera. So if they lose to Rivera, they got to beat Los Fresnos. These last Los Fresnos, Hannah, and Rivera, it gets a little tricky, but I still think Los Fresnos does it. Just because Hannah has to win out, Rivera has to win out and get help. So I think just the easier road here is for Los Fresnos, and I think Lady Falcons get in the playoffs for sure.
Absolutely.
And if they get in the playoffs, they're going to have to play Wesleyan High round 1, which is what happened last year. So
wow, interesting.
Be a rematch.
In 31-5A, it's really clustered, so I want to kind of go team by team here for a second. Edinburgh Bella's been hot. What do you think about the run that they've been on?
Jada Muhammad got healthy. That's. I mean, she does so much for that team, not just for her basketball skills, but just for her leadership and what she brings to that side of the table. They did get upset by Rio Grande City. I don't know if you can call it an upset because so many of these teams are so competitive in this district, but Rio Grande City, as I mentioned, was a team that lost to Valley View, a team that was winless in district up till that point. And then they turn around and they lose by 10 points to Rio Grande City. Bella does. So Bella's still going to be fine. I didn't look and see what the rest of their schedule is, but I do think they're going to be. I think they have the worst of their schedules behind them. I think they've got some easier teams here coming up. I think they're going to win. I think they do play Mission Vets on Tuesday, though. Mm-hmm. I think they have it open, and then they play Mission. Yeah, so they have a bye Friday. They have Mission Vets. That's their last game. So I think just because they have 1 game left to go, I think they do have a playoff spot here clinched pretty sure.
Well, Mission Vets has also been trending up. That's another team I wanted to ask about. What's up with them right now?
They got a big win over Sherryland High a couple weeks ago. 1 point came in overtime, and then they turned around. That's the thing with this district here the last couple of weeks. No one's really kind of gotten on a hot streak. Like I said, Mission Vets, they beat Sherryland. They turn around and they lose by 15 to Roma. I really don't know what's going to happen here. Here's what I think is going to happen. Sherryland's going to win the district championship just because they got out to a hot start and they still have a lead. I think Rio beating Bella's going to hang on to that 2 spot. I think Bella's going to get the 3 spot. Mission Vet's going to get the 4 spot. And the reason I'm discounting Roma is because they have 2 games left. They can finish 7-5 here, from what I understand. Let me check out the standings here real quick.
They're 5-5.
They're 5-5. I think they're going to finish 7-5, but they need help to get in still because even if they tie with Mission Vets swept the season series, I believe. No, I didn't. Roma beat them twice. So I don't know. Maybe that's tough. Maybe Mission Vets is going to be on the outside looking in. I got to really look at the schedules here. I apologize for not knowing as much as I should in this. But again, you talk to some of the coaches, and even they don't know what's going on in this district sometimes. So some coaches were texting me like, well, what's up with Rio Grande City after they lost to Valley View? And then, they beat Bella, and coaches were texting me, what happened to Bella? What's wrong with Bella? So I'm not going to make any predictions. I do know that Sherryland is guaranteed a playoff spot. That's all I'm really going to say for now.
Well, you mentioned Roma, and they've lost 2 of 3. Is that just a matter of who they've played recently, or any signs of concern for them?
I think it's just a matter of who they played. They just lost to some teams that you figured they would lose to, and then they beat a team that they've already proven they could beat Mission Vets. So I think that's just things going the way that I think they should have gone at least.
In 32-5A, Mercedes is still undefeated.
Yep, all the way. All the way. Mercedes, their last 2 games are PHA Southwest and Porter, and those 2 teams combined haven't even won 10 wins all season long. So yeah, I think they're going to get it.
There's 2 6-6 teams fighting for the last playoff spot. There's Donna High, who we talked about a couple weeks ago as being the surging team, and Ed Couch also, who seems to be the surging team recently. Which one of them is going to pull it off the rest of the way?
I think this game's going to come down to...
Do they play each other?
Yeah, the last on Tuesday.
Oh, good.
They play each other on Tuesday. I think both those teams are going to go into that game with the same record. I'm going to pick Ed Couch. I know I was a little bit high on Donna when they made that 3-game win streak to kind of bring themselves back from the brink here in this district. But ever since then, they've kind of cooled back down. Their offense still remains to be a mystery. Lauren Williams, their point guard, she's not even starting at this point. She's coming off the bench, from what I understand. It seems like there's still some internal issues with this team, and I don't necessarily trust a team with internal issues to make a push for the playoffs. I'm going with Ed Couch also.
What has Ed Couch done to win 3 out of their last 4? Any change that they've made or anything that's brought them up?
I just think they've played some of the weaker teams in this district. But hey, that's just the benefit of scheduling. But they do have to play Brownsville Pace, who's second in this district on Friday, and they got to play Donna, who, again, despite all the ups and downs, they're still 6-6 at the same record as Ed Couch. So they can't fall asleep by any means here in these last 2 games.
And in 32-4A, I need a winner of the 2-10-2 teams, Zapata or LaFeria.
I don't know anything about either of these teams because they are both out of my coverage
Well,
area.
then you got to flip a coin.
Especially Zapata. I'm going to go with Zapata because, one, they're at home, and they beat LaFeria in round 1 by about 11 points. So I think Zapata's above the competition here.
Have it. The top 10 for you has been pretty stagnant. You feel like you figured everybody out at this point?
Yes. Yeah, at this point in the season, this late in the game, everyone knows who they are. Everyone knows what's going on. So as far as and the reason why a team like Sheridan High, they were number 6, they lose 2 straight, they're dropping number 10. They might just stay there because again, this district, it's so hard to kind of get a gauge for who's who right now. But yeah, in terms of top 10, they are who we thought they were, Greg.
Absolutely.
And we let them off the hook. JK. Anyways,
Mario, you're up. You ready to go?
I am ready.
All right, we're talking about District 36A off the top. McAllen Memorial is the last unbeaten at 9-0. Do you buy or sell them finishing off an undefeated district season?
I buy them even though they have a couple of tough games coming up, starting with Mac High, which went from the bottom of the district standings to number 4 right now. I think they're in the playoff race. And then they face Palmview, which is also a playoff team. So they've already beaten both of those teams. I don't see them losing. They've been pretty dominant in their district all year. They have 3 guys that are 6'5" and have a clear height advantage in that district, so I don't see them losing again this year.
You mentioned McAllen High. They went from 0-5 to 3-6. How'd they do it?
Coach was saying that he saw the growth starting with the game against McAllen Memorial, which they lost by 6 points. Saw it as a moral victory, and they went on to win 3 straight games. Said that he knew that it would take a while to come along because they graduated, I think, 12 players, only returned 2. One of them got hurt. So it's been a brand new team. A lot of players from JV called up this year, and they've really turned the corner. He said he thought it would take a while just to kind of get caught up with the speed of the game, but once they did, they've been able to string together some wins, and now they're there fighting for the number 4 spot.
3-6 right now is good for the number 4 spot. Do you think they'll hold on to it, or could Juarez, Lincoln, Mission High, or La Jolla catch them the rest of the way?
No, I just think Mac High has enough momentum up to this point. Even though they lost yesterday, it was only by a couple points. It was 31-27 against a road team that's been number 2 in district all year, a road team that beat Edinburgh Vela. So, I mean, they've been pretty competitive, and they're riding this hot streak at the right time.
In 31-6A, has Westlaco High become the team to beat?
Yeah, I just think they have too many weapons. I mean, Edinburgh North, I think, has their big 3, but Westlaco High, big 3 led by Cody Patterson, a favorite to the RGV Sports podcast.
Absolutely.
And Westlaco High, I just see as the more complete team. They just have a lot more weapons. They have playmakers. Like I said, Nick Mora had one of the standout plays of the game against Edinburgh North a couple weeks ago where he was just making no-look passes, and there was an instance where he saved the ball from going out of bounds by passing it behind his back, and then the player who put up the shot missed, and then he rebounded and tipped it back in the air. And just great athlete. They have a lot of great athletes. As you know, they're just as free. They have good shooting guards, like I said, playmakers, and I think they have too many weapons, and it's going to be pretty difficult for them to lose because if someone's off and there's someone there off the bench that's more than willing to step in. This
district seems to have a pretty clear top 4, so I'm ready to just move on.
Yeah.
We can talk about 32-6A, where Los Fresnos is no longer unbeaten. What happened to them?
They lost by 1 point 3 games ago to Harlingen South, 59-58, lost in overtime. Jason Martinez for South hit a late 3. Los Fresnos had trailed by as many as 13 points in that game. Coach Hinojosa at Los Fresnos pulled his starters and I guess was stressing senior leadership and how they weren't really playing together, leading like he would have liked them to. And they stormed back and answered with a 12-0 run, but Jason Martinez came back and hit the 3 late, and South ended up handing them their only district loss of the year so far.
A little farther down the standings, Brownsville Hannah has gone from 4-2 to 5-5, and as of right now, they are on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. From what you know, what happened to them, or what do they have to do to get back into it? How do you see the playoff picture shaping out in this district?
That, just from what I know, I mean, I covered Hannah for a couple of years. They they've had good teams the last couple of years, teams that have pushed PSG high in the playoffs last year, 2 years ago. But I just think they had a slow start, just considering they graduated a lot of people, and a lot of those top teams that you see in 32-6A for the most part have a lot of continuity. So I think for Han, it was just more of just trying to get up to speed up to this point. I don't know if they have enough to make it. I think 32-6A, like 31-6A, is probably the two toughest districts in the Valley. So even though Han is making this late run, I don't know if they could break in and overtake Harlingen High for that top spot.
We have a Periscope comment here that the Brownsville Hannah star point guard is injured. I don't know anything about that. That's outside of our coverage area. But if I'm seeing your scores here correctly, it looks like they lost to Lopez by 18. Is that what that said?
Where they
go back to that other tab?
I will open it.
The 29.
Yeah.
So that's insane because Lopez is what? I was just looking at Lopez has 2 wins, I think, in district. So they've really fallen off apparently.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if they can get it back, but right now it's hard to project them making the playoffs at this point, given that they'd have to pass somebody, and it seems like they're playing their worst basketball right now.
Word.
We can move over to 31-5A. Do you buy or sell? And I think this is pretty easy. Edinburgh Valley finishing their undefeated run through district so far.
Unless someone abducts their starting 5, I think they should
The
win.
whole starting 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even then, I mean, their bench has been pretty good. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So then what do we have to talk about? Let's talk about Roma. They went from 4-1 to 4-4. Are they in danger of missing the playoffs?
Roma, no. I think it would take a lot for Sherilyn High to try to make it at this point. Sherilyn High expected a little bit more, but I think for most of the year that I figured this would be the top 4 that would make it. When I talked to when I covered Sherilyn a few weeks ago, they were saying how they felt they'd be better once they incorporated a couple more players into their system, but it hasn't really shown. Roma's just having a pretty good year. Pioneer has surpassed Sherilyn, which I didn't see coming this soon, considering that Pioneer kind of struggled last year and didn't really look like a varsity team physically. I saw them play a couple times, and it just looked like a JV team. They had a couple of players that really that looked like varsity players, maybe 6 feet and a little more developed. And this year, they have a lot more athletes. They're quicker. Even then, I mean, they and Valley View are tied for number 2, but they're far and away behind Edinburgh Villa, who's put up 100 points against both of those schools so far.
Is there anything wrong with Roma that there's a 3-game losing streak? Have you talked to them recently?
Yeah, the one of their players who they expected to contribute has kind of been on and off. The coach's son actually was going to have him on the top other 5 players to watch this year. And I forget who I moved in place for him, but he was the newcomer of the year last year in 32-5A. And when I talked to the coach, he was saying how his confidence was a little bit shaky this year, and he hasn't really been developed much consistency, and so they're missing his scoring there. Other players have stepped in, but I mean they could really use his scoring to help take some of the load off some of their other star players, like the Roma Shack that we've come to love.
Of course. In 32-5A, Pace is no longer unbeaten. Do you know who got to them?
Oh, Pace, I think that was I want to say that was the buzzer beater, but I don't know if you saw the buzzer beater that broke mine.
Vine?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Let me see. Oh, Mercedes Mercedes beat Pace by 21.
By 21?
21. Not Mercedes. It was PSG, excuse me. PSG beat Pace by 21. I think it was like part of their 3-game win streak. And it was one of like 2 20-point wins against some of these playoff teams that are in 32-5A. Didn't see that coming, considering that Pace has been out front for most of the year. But I guess it goes to show that there really isn't that any team could beat any team. I mean, you know the cliche that any team that if you're not prepared could beat a team in district. And I guess in that 32-5A that I didn't really think was too strong heading into the year, I guess that's true, as you can see there.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of that, we have to figure out who's going to make the playoffs here. PSG High is 6-4. You mentioned that they've been on a hot streak lately, I guess.
Yeah.
Porter's 5-5. Ed Cauchel's 5-5. And then even PSG Southwest is 4-6, a team you talked about that's been depleted but showed some things early. And I wouldn't even count out Donna High necessarily. They only have 3 wins, but they've also only lost 6 games, so they have some room to make up some ground. Who's coming out of here? What teams do you like? What teams do you not like? Who should I be looking out for?
Mercedes
And Mercedes, can they catch them for the district title? Is that possible as well?
If they play them again, I'd have to check the schedule. I mean, and if they were to beat them, let's see.
Because I think when you talk about a Pace team picking up its first loss recently and apparently, trending not necessarily in the right direction compared to some of these other teams, for a team like PSJ High that's on the up and up, got to figure out whether they have an opportunity to make a run here. Because right now Mercedes is sitting at 8-2, so really they're only one game behind. If they can get a shot at Pace again, then obviously they would have the ability to close the gap.
Yeah, see, the regular season finale will be Pace at Mercedes. So that's Mercedes' opportunity for the revenge game where they could draw a two-way tie for first place, assuming both teams win out heading into the final week.
Right. So either way, those two will be in, but I still got to revisit the question about who are the next two that are going to make it, because there's a lot of teams that are in the mix.
I haven't seen Eddie Couch in a couple weeks. I know that when I saw him, they looked really, really small. And the coach, when I was talking to him, said that he was waiting for their football players to join the mix. And I don't know. I wouldn't buy necessarily an Eddie Couch. I mean, they were the number 2 team and have slipped so far. And they're in danger of not making the playoffs. PSJ Southwest has had a few nice moments this year, especially with Nigel Anderson yesterday dropping 34 against Ed Calchelsa. I didn't see that win coming. When I saw the score, I thought it was a misprint, just because I didn't think Ed Calchelsa would lose by that much to a team that's been out of the playoff picture for most of the year. So not sold on Ed Calchelsa so far, but I think I would have Pace, Mercedes, PSJA, and then I guess it's a toss-up with either one of those 3 teams. I'm surprised Porter's in the mix, considering that they've struggled the last couple of years to win even this many games. I don't think they've won 5 games all year, district and non-district combined. So impressed by their progress. And
then getting down to 32-40, it looks like it's up to Hidalgo and La Feria, although Rio Hondo and Gruy are just one game behind.
Yeah. Hidalgo I saw play a week ago, when they beat La Feria. But then Hidalgo picked up a loss within the last week that really dropped them. It was to Zapata, and I didn't see that coming. Zapata, it was a 500 team up to that point, around the 500 mark. Hidalgo lost, and I figured Hidalgo, after beating La Feria, which was their toughest challenge, would just have to hang on and just beat the teams they've already beaten. But then losing this, it evens things up now with Hidalgo and La Feria, 2 district losses. Rio Hondo and Gruya, not too familiar with Rio Hondo. They're outsider area, but Gruya, talked to the coach a couple weeks ago, and he was optimistic that they'd make the playoffs, and even was hoping to have a chance for a playoff spot, especially because Hidalgo, I guess the word at 32-4 was that this was the year to try to overtake Hidalgo, considering that they graduated their entire starting lineup, and that was a team that won 4 district titles in a row. So this was the year that I guess the other 32-40 counterparts felt that they could overtake them, but just in beating some of these top teams and coming out with impressive wins, Hidalgo's been able to stay on top, and they could make it 5 in a row now.
In the boys' top 10, McAllen Memorial is up to 2, and Wesco High is up to 3. 2 teams that have served since our last podcast. Either one of them have a shot to be the top team. Could one of them actually be better than Bella? We won't get to see this play out, but would you ever consider ranking one of them ahead of the SaberCats?
I mean, Westaco, I would say Westaco, this isn't Vella's fault, but Westaco just plays tougher competition in the district, whereas Vella doesn't really play strong teams or playing teams that are just there for the first time, with Valley View, with Roma, teams that don't really have that experience, that don't really play that out of valley competition, whereas Vella travels to Houston. I think one of their 2 losses this year came in a Houston area tournament, so for as great as Vella is, I don't know if we necessarily see them challenges throughout the year until they get to the playoffs. And even then, it'll seem like they could breeze through the 3rd round this year. Whereas Westaco faces Edinburgh North and the Kobe Pattersons. They face Edinburgh High, another formidable team. They faced the PSJ North team that was also a playoff-bound team up until a couple weeks ago. So, I don't know. I think Westaco would be my number 2 team, but I think DJ Johnson just has a lot of potential to be, just physically, he's just head and shoulders over everyone else. So I think that's what keeps McAllen Memorial there. But as a team, I like Westaco High a lot.
Our biased Periscope commenter, JP, who has 2 brothers playing for the McAllen Memorial team, thinks they might be better than Bella. How would you see that matchup play out if they faced each other?
I think if you didn't know anything about either team and you saw them play pickup, you would pick McAllen Memorial. Just off the size, just because they have 3 guys that are 6'6", 6'5". DJ Johnson could pass for an NBA player. Like he's not built like a 17, 18-year-old. Like he's filled out, he's strong, can dunk over anyone. Whereas Edinburgh Vela has smaller players. I think their tallest player might be 6'1", 6'2". So physically, I think McAllen Memorial just looks like they have all the tools to be a much better team. But Edinburgh Vela has been together for a couple of years now. They play travel ball together. They go to Vegas and go to all these tournaments throughout the state to play together. So they have more continuity with one another.
Very interesting. Okay, so now let's take a look ahead. We'll go back to John. You've been sitting here a while, not doing anything.
Actually, I've been doing plenty.
Oh, really?
When we were talking about 31-5 and figuring out how that was going to shake out, I said I wasn't going to make a prediction. I've been looking at the schedules, seeing who plays who, and I'm totally ready to make a prediction.
Okay, so let's hear it.
I'm standing by Sheridan High winning the district. They're going to get first place. Bella's going to get second because they only have 1 game to play. If they finish 8-4, that's going to be good enough for second place. So I'm taking Bella. I do think, though, we're going to have 3 teams finish at 7-5, which means we're going to have some kind of weird way about how we determine seeds and who gets left in and who gets left out. I think Rio, Mission Vets, and Roma are all going to finish 7-5, if just based on my predictions and based on who plays who here. So I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't know if I've heard we talked about 36A, they would have maybe do a round robin, but they're all playoff teams, so who knows? They might do coin flips. Here, you're not doing coin flips. You would
hope not.
Yeah, you would hope not. You hope you'd let your team go out there and play for a chance to make the postseason. But long way to figure things out here in 31-5. So, that just kind of helps clarify things there. But what were you going to ask me?
Well, best game of the coming week. What are you going to be looking at? I bet there's a few of them, given that there's playoff matchups on the line.
Well, yeah. Well, by the time we start doing this podcast next week, we'll be talking about playoffs for girls basketball because their regular season ends on Tuesday. So there's plenty of good games. I mentioned McAllen Rowe versus La Jolla Palmview. That game's on Friday. There's also going to be Edinburgh High versus PSA North. That game's going to be Tuesday. That could be for the potential second seed there in 31-6A. Here in 31-5A on Tuesday, Sheridan High is at Rio Grande City. That game could possibly be for a district championship or a share of a district championship. Bella plays Mission Vets on Tuesday. You got Roma versus, they play Pioneer and Valley View, but if they win both those games, like I said, they're going to be 7-5. So in 31-5A, all 5 of these teams are playing playoff games. Like, you have to win to stay in this thing. And I'm looking elsewhere. 32-6A, things are kind of calm and quiet there. I think the big game is going to be Los Fresnos versus Hannah on Tuesday. 32-4A, all the teams are locked up. 32-3A, the teams are who we thought they'd be. So I think those are the big ones that we talk about, I think.
You need time to brainstorm an upset pick, and you need time to research, because this is way back now, whether Edinburgh North upset PSG North.
Edinburgh North did not upset PSG North. They were very close. They were very, very close. They lost that game by about 6 or 7 points. That's a really tough matchup for PSG North. The Lady Raiders got the better of Edinburgh North there. As far as the upsets go,
well, I'll give you some time to prepare one. Take some time, look at it, consider your options. I'll come back to you. Mario, you can give me, in the interim, the games to watch for the coming week, or something, what you're going to be at, or what you're going to have your eye on here.
I will be covering Rural Palmview. Before the game, I'll have my eye on Coach Andy Sainz's shoes, because he has the best sneaker game in the Valley.
Okay.
So I'll see what he's wearing.
Good.
I was texting with him today, and he was saying how he liked the Jordan 11s from... I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I didn't really like the Jordan 11s that came out during Christmas. He texted me when I was texting him about some score, and he said he liked them, thought they were premium material. I was like, I don't know, they're not like the original. So
right.
He has the best shoe game in the Valley.
Even though he disagrees with you, he has the best shoe game in the Valley.
Well, he's a little, not that much older, he's a little older, and he said he's also an OG when it comes to sneakers, and he likes shoes to resemble the original release, which is why I'm not crazy about the new one, which has leather instead of this other like backpack material. But I just didn't agree with him. But he has good shoes nonetheless. The staff does too. Westlake staff might be up there too in sneakers, but I think Palmview, Andy Sainz leads it. He has like Jordan 3s, Jordan 11s, and during non-district and tournament games he'll wear it. But now that it's district, now he'll wear dress shoes. So might not have the sneakers for this game yet. Might not have, but after all that's done, Palmview role play, the Palmview coach Andy Sainz played for the. I don't know. Yeah, he played for the Row coach, Jose Guevara, whose son Dennis wrote a story about.
The Prodigy.
Yeah, the Prodigy, who's like
The Phenom, I'm sorry.
how old is he? 11 or 13?
Nobody
Really
knows.
young, a couple years from going to high school. And it's interesting when those two teams play against each other. They're both they don't really have too much size. Palmview has the Spanish Kevin Durant.
Right.
And someone tweeted me his name, and I don't know if he DM'd me or he did that thing, but it'll be an interesting game. I mean, these two teams are battling for number 2 in district. I didn't really see Rowe being there considering that. Last year, they just seemed like really undersized, lived and died by the 3. Palmview graduated all their starters and started fresh, more or less, and they didn't see these two teams being at number 2 and number 3. So it's interesting just to see this matchup this late in the season, see who moves up to runner-up in district.
Any other games maybe next week or any other you're going to have your eye on if you had an opportunity of a second game?
Give me 2 seconds.
Well, no is an acceptable answer.
No,
That's
no,
fine.
no. Greg, I want to see.
Well, how about this? You look into that and you look into your upset pick. I will go back to John for his upset pick.
For the next 2 games?
Yeah, and then we'll
You
go
want
down.
2 upset picks?
No, I want 1 upset
Okay.
pick. Calm down. Calm down. Mario just has time to do 2 different things, whereas I just need your upset pick, which is...
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I was gonna say.
That's the point.
I was gonna say. I was gonna say Palmview beating Rowe, but that wouldn't really be an upset because both these teams, are district title contending teams. That's just a good team beating another good team. Here's an upset for you. PSJ Memorial is.
Oh God, really?
PSJ Memorial is 0-11. They've got 1 game left because they have a bye on Tuesday. They got 1 game, and it's Friday against Edinburgh North. Coach Marisa Gutierrez is not going to let that team lie down on the job, especially at the last game of the season.
Wow.
They're out to play spoiler, and I think they're going to try and maximize it. I don't know if they get the win. I'm not going to pick them to get the win, but if I'm the Lady Cougars, I'm certainly not looking past this game because this is a team that still has pride to play for and is out to play spoiler and kind of ruin someone else's season. So
If you get that one, that might count as 2. That's pretty strong.
yeah, I'm going for it. I'm taking the Lady Wolverines over the Lady Cougars. That's my upset alert. Like I said, still favor Edinburgh North, but if PSJ Memorial gets the win, I'm not gonna scratch my head and go.
You see, Mario, you don't take Idea Athlos or whatever the hell you pick.
It's Athlos air quotes Leadership Academy air
and-
quotes.
and it played
real
out.
teams,
And it picked out
real games.
and it panned out the way I thought it would. Atlas lost.
Athlos air quotes Leadership Academy air quotes.
Yeah, look out for John's 6-piece
Yeah, right.
investigative series this summer.
Anyway,
They're not a real school.
hey,
Anyways.
no, they're listen, man.
No.
So
Upset.
Mario, I gave you time to pick out any other games next week you're interested in, and to
Okay.
pick an upset.
I'll start with the upset because it's this Friday.
Well, first of all, did La Jolla Juarez Lincoln beat McAllen Rowe 2 weeks ago?
I'll tell you right
I'm gonna guess they
now.
didn't.
No?
No, you lost. It looks like
Yep.
No. Wait.
you had Juarez
No.
Lincoln beating Rowe.
No, that was the second.
Oh, so it's a mystery. We don't know.
Yeah.
Max Prep doesn't have it.
Did you not tweet it?
We're gonna have to go on
do a search on Twitter.
RGVSports.com.
Do a search on Twitter.
Periscope says you already failed. I trust our viewers.
Juarez Lincoln McAllen Rowe. Let me just type in Juarez Lincoln Rowe.
You guys are the worst.
It's not my fault. This is Mario's beat.
And
Oh,
so
Mario, just give me the new upset. We'll figure this out.
Okay, the new upset is Edinburgh High over Westaco East.
Edinburgh High.
Over Westaco East.
Now wait, I thought these teams were all about even.
Rowe beat Juarez Lincoln 65-35. So no.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't
Edim-
even close actually.
Okay. Edinburgh High. I mean, if I wouldn't push any of these upsets. This for basketball.
This
Football.
is a 6-3 team beating a 6-2 team,
No, but Edinburgh High covered them 2 weeks ago.
and they're at home.
Here's the thing: 2 weeks ago, I covered them. They were down to like 8 or 9 players. One of their better players, word has it, didn't get passing grades, so they're down to 8 players. They played a Westco team that had like 15 players, so they're down. They have a short rotation as it is. They're just playing these guys the length of the game, so I don't really see. I think it's a miracle that Edinburgh High has been able to win these last 2 games.
Interesting.
Considering all that's happened the last couple of weeks, so that's why I have them.
Andrew Cantu's balling out. That's why.
It doesn't look like that in the standings, but Edinburgh High, I think, has been able to string together a nice couple wins considering the circumstances there.
I gotta feel like a 6-3 team at home against a 6-2 team is not necessarily an upset pick, So you'll get half credit if you're right.
I know, but they could have lost the last 2 games. They're really undermanned.
However, I do like your argument that they're undermanned, and I might allow it.
Yeah.
I mean, half credit is what you'll get,
Okay.
but you're up for half credit.
Okay.
The guy who hated Lock of the Week because it was too conservative
I know, but for basketball, you can't do it.
picks the 6-3 team.
I had it
At
in football.
home.
I had it in football. In football, I picked Harlingen over McAllen Memorial, and I was like,
They're not even on the road. All right. I think we're about done here unless you guys have anything else you need to hit.
Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, Mario wanted to talk
Tuesday,
about some
okay.
Tuesday games.
Mackay Memorial will be nice to see for Mackay's end.
Right, surging Mackay.
I'm really interested in Mackay. Last year, here's the thing, a lot of coaches will say, we have no all-stars, they're all all-stars, everyone's great, everyone's amazing, no one stands out. That was actually the case last year for Mackay. No one averaged more than 8 points per game. And even when we were doing our all-star selection for the RGV Sports and Vipers showcase that we had, it was hard picking a player because they really didn't have anyone who averaged more than double figures. So their token player was the senior who led them in defense, was their emotional leader, so threw him in. This year, more or less the same thing, but they have one guy who's shown some progress this year for them, but I'm really interested now in Mackay because I didn't really see them as sniffing the playoffs, and now they're in the mix. So, I mean, McAllen Memorial is still top 3 team in the Valley, so they might get blown out, but interesting nonetheless to see how that pans out. Westaco High, Westaco East, rivalry game. Westaco really handed it to them last time they played, beat them by like 20 or 30 points, outscored them in the fourth quarter like 29-7 or something. I'm just making up numbers, but it was a wide gap in the fourth quarter, so it'd be interesting to see how Westaco East responds in their second game there. Edinburgh High, PSG North. PSG North really needs to win these last couple of games if they want to try to sneak in for number 4, but it looks unlikely. 32-6A. I mean, have your pick. South Harlingen High. They're for football they call it the Bird Bowl. I don't know what they call it for basketball, but that's another rivalry game.
The Bird Ball?
The Bird Bowl.
Bird Ball, maybe?
Bird Ball.
Bird Bowl.
Bird
No,
Ball.
I get it, but he's talking about the basketball version.
Bird Ball.
I don't know.
Bird Ball was the best I could do. Continue.
31-5A, the only one that's mildly interesting is Roma Valley View. That's a battle for number 2 there in 31-5A. And 32-3A, Monte Alto, which is in our coverage area. They might be 5-0, but I haven't confirmed with the coach, but I think they were undefeated going into last week. So I think they're 5-0, should run away with the 32-3A title unless someone sneaks up on them. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, wait a second. Isn't Santa Rosa 5-0?
Yeah, so they'd be tied.
Ah.
But I mean, we picked our teams. We don't care that Leo Lara
True, they don't even exist.
is killing the Mid Valley. What we call it? Yeah, the Mid Valley, right? Santa Rosa.
That's where the town crier is.
Yeah, he dropped like 42 points I think during a tournament game this year.
That's nuts.
Will certainly be in the all area, or actually the all valley consideration if we ever do that again.
John, anything you want to hit before we get out of here?
Shouts to Mario for his feature on Sherryland Pioneer. That was a good read. That's on RGV
Oh, they
Sports.
did, yeah.
That's on RGVSports.com. I've got a notebook on our Edinburgh High and Hoya Palmview. Just as things wind down, it's just really I can't say how much I love covering the girls basketball beat. It's right up there. Track and field is one of my favorite beats to cover. So it's absolutely
Track?
fun. Oh yeah, track and field's awesome.
Oh, wrestling.
No, it's your floor. Go ahead. What you got?
Wrestling. The second day district is tomorrow, which is today, Thursday. It's the 5A district meet, and Saturday wraps up the 6A meet. And tomorrow or Thursday, it's at Mission Veterans Memorial. Saturday, they wrap up 6A at Economides. For 5A, Rio Grande City should again be competitive in both boys and girls. Girls might get challenged a little bit. They've had some rough spots this year. Edinburgh Vella could overtake them. Last year, Edinburgh Vella girls wrestling led after the first day district, and then Rio Grande City stormed back, took it from them. And Rio Grande City handed Vella a loss sometime in district this year. So interesting battle there that they have, considering Vella's only been around 2 or 3 years as a wrestling program.
As Manny Huna hosted comments on Periscope, baseball is indeed right around the corner. Soccer's getting into district play, so there's a lot of stuff for you to follow with us. As always, pick up the monitor. You can find us on RGVSports.com.
I forgot. Swimming and diving regionals. 5A is going to be in Corpus Christi this weekend. 6A teams will be in Brownsville. And if whoever gets first place automatically gets to go to Austin and swim at the state meet here next month. Or later this month, I should say.
That stuff will be on Facebook.com/RGVSports. It'll be on Twitter at RGVSports. John will have it on Twitter.
At Jon Filet.
Mario will have wrestling on Twitter.
Mario_Aguirre.
I'll be at Greg Luca, not tweeting. And we'll be back next week, guys. We'll talk to you then.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
JP, the boys' top 10 as it stands right now is 1, Edinburgh Vela, 2, McAllen Memorial, 3, Westlaco High, 4, Brownsville Vets, 5, Los Fresnos, 6, McAllen Row, 7, Edinburgh North, 8, Westlaco East, 9, La Jolla Palmview, and 10, Valley View. So there you have it. You agree, disagree? Anything you would change? He said he's got his own rankings. JP, who you got? I bet you got McAllen Memorial number 1, McAllen Memorial number 2, McAllen Memorial number 3, McAllen Memorial number 4. Okay, he's got Memorial 1, Vela 2, Los Fresnos 3, Vets 4, and Westlaco 5. Mario, your thoughts?
I just think you're wrong.
There you have it.
I think I've seen all these teams up to this point. It's kind of difficult because, I think it goes back to what I was saying a little bit earlier.
Because Memorial has more tough wins.
Memorial tough wins. They don't really play in a district that people would consider the toughest or one of the toughest districts. They have a physical, I think, outpower or overpower, every team in that district. Rose small, Palmview small. Off of that alone, I just think that no one could really stick with them in that district. Mac High, I haven't seen him play this year. This has been McAllen Memorial's district from the beginning. I haven't really seen them challenge this season. So, unless he's talking about non-district or tournament games.
Yeah, Laredo and Austin teams in the tournament, apparently.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember when they went up there. I don't really know which teams they played. I remember the coach mentioned a couple Laredo. I don't remember if they were.
Are any of those
Laredo.
teams ranked by the Texas Basketball Association?
We're the only rankings that matter, John. Thank you.
Got them.
Well, sometimes I just use that to kind of.
Yeah, JP, who'd they be? Anybody who's ranked? Throw out some names. We'll check it here. John's got the rankings.
Well, this is for girls. I was just checking girls. Harlingen High is ranked number 6 in the state for 6A. So.
Wow.
Do you believe it?
No.
Well, there you go.
No, I don't. But it's nice to see kind of where. Huh?
McAllen Memorial's not getting votes in that thing, right? Are they ranked anywhere?
McAllen.
I'll look right now.
Oh, in the state ranking?
Yeah.
Well, there's a coaches one too. I don't know how much.
This is the coaches poll. Texas Basketball Association
Okay.
coaches poll. Let's see here. 6A vote.
Oh, they do it by 6A and 5A.
Yeah. 4A, 3A, 6A.
Manny, how do you feel about our Brownsville Vets ranking? Is 4 good for them? You think higher? You think lower?
In 6A, we got 2 Valley schools. We got Los Fresnos and Brownsville Vets.
Oh, those Fresnos made it.
22 and 23.
The boys made it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
And let me check 5A, see if Fella's on there.
Shout out to Coach Marco Hinojosa, who is an honorable mention sneakerhead.
Edinburgh Vela, ranked number 10 and 5A in the state. Yep.
JP says Memorial has beaten Alamo Heights, who I see here is number 17.
17. They're 5A school. Still, that's big. Anytime a non-Valley school beats a Valley school beats a non-Valley school, that's always impressive. So.
Yeah. Oh, Memorial destroyed Los Fresnos. You remember that game?
Let me check McAllen Memorial one more time. I don't see.
Los Fresnos is kind of small.
No, McAllen Memorial's not on here.
Oh, so it's a matchup thing, maybe.
Yes, I think that's why I said if you were to see Vela on the streets at a pickup game and McAllen Memorial, you would pick McAllen Memorial to win the game. I know that's not often
right.
how things play out, but they look the part, and I think they're physically imposing. I don't think any team in the Valley has 3 players that are 6'5" and taller.
Right. Yeah. Most likely not.
DJ Johnson and the Sanchez brothers.
5A girls, no 5A girls.
My biggest concern tomorrow, though, is if they're going to cater the wrestling thing. Because
Right.
last year they did at Sherryland, and it had so many hot dogs. And
That's gross, by the way.
I really don't like hot dogs, but sometimes
Free, right?
Yeah, sometimes I might be in the mood, but I don't really buy hot dogs to make it on my own. Oh, which reminds me, I don't know if I should say this on Periscope, but Dennis said that he might not have the Super Bowl party, so I'm thinking I might step in and throw one.
Party at Mario's house.
Whoa. Don't step on Dennis's turf like that.
No, he said that I could have it because of my place, and I said, well,
Unless,
you're the
only
one.
you-
I told him you're the one with the maid and the dog walker.
I
and the pole
haven't been to the Silva family complex yet, and I want to check it out.
the compound.
The compound, you think?
Yeah.
I bet it's awesome.
Yeah. Do you think it's like a rocket's room?
It's got a damn gardener.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, ask.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man, you come on over from Brownsville. It's a long drive, but it's worth it.
It is worth it. Here's the thing. I don't know if it could be like New Year's because
The halftime show is going to be weird.
Who's doing it?
It's Coldplay and Beyonce. Beyonce was announced like 6 weeks after the fact. I bet because everyone kind of met, because when the NFL announced Coldplay, it was kind of like roundly criticized, panned, and like the reaction was mild at best. And so I bet you they kind of called in Beyonce at the last second to kind of spice things up. Like, hey, please come save us from our awful mistake of getting.
wasn't Beyonce supposed to be either one, or did they pull her out of one of them? She had that beef that she had with CBS.
Oh, she was supposed to perform like something for. I don't think it was a Super Bowl. I think it was like an AFC Championship game or maybe like a Thanksgiving game or something.
I like Rihanna a lot.
Have you listened to her new record?
I'm kind of like I'm not eager to download the title, even though I feel like
No,
I
you
should.
don't. I just found the torrent. Downloaded the torrent.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I checked on YouTube. It wasn't on YouTube.
Nah, it's not on
I
YouTube
heard-
yet. It'll be out Friday on its physical format, so which means it'll probably be on Spotify around that time too.
I was listening to Sirius XM, and one station was playing like 2 or 3 songs in a row. I liked it.
It's okay. It's all right. There's the one song on there with Drake that every time I hear it, I want to punch my fist through the speakers because I hate Drake that much. But
Yeah.
it's okay. It's probably her best record, in my opinion.
I think the best one was Good Girl Gone Bad,
When was that?
or the one with Disturbia in it, or the one with the bonus tracks has Disturbia.
Oh gosh, that was like
That's her
forever
best
ago,
one?
wasn't it?
I think it's their best
I have
one.
to go back and double check. This one's
Every
This
song.
one is, at least in terms of the music, it's probably her most interesting in terms of the production that's going on there. I think there's some cool things she's doing, but no, it's all right.
Who you guys got in the Super Bowl? They want to know.
I really don't care who wins. I just hope it's a good game. I know that's such a loser's way of answering that. I'll just pick.
Don't you root for storylines though?
I think Cam Newton is unfairly criticized for a lot of stupid things because he's a black man in a white man's country.
You think so?
I know so. I mean, I don't.
He dances. I don't like that.
Yeah, he. Why isn't he respectful like Tom Brady? When Tom Brady scored the touchdown, he just hands the ball to the referee. Like, here's what I don't get. Like, if Tom Brady was doing that, it's the same, like dabbing during in the end zone and all that stuff. Like, he'd be a leader. But when Cam Newton does it, oh, he's a showboat and he's cocky. Give me a break. There's an absolute double standard there.
There is a double
So, sure, Carolina. I hope Carolina wins. I'm from Indianapolis. Grew up watching Peyton Manning. I like Peyton Manning. It'd be a great story to see him go out on top if this is his last game. But nah, I want to see Carolina do it. Get some young blood in there.
Evidently, the Panthers are a 6-point favorite.
That's a lot.
I think I got to go with that.
That's a lot, especially for the Super Bowl, because normally these lines are only about 3-4 points spread.
Right.
Should we make bets?
If Carolina I haven't watched that much NFL this year, but just in the playoffs, like Carolina's blowing everyone out, and they're doing it within like the first 2 quarters, and these games are over at halftime.
Easy win, Panthers, guy says.
Easy win, Panthers. I don't know if it'll really be easy, but I hope Carolina wins. Not to say if Denver wins, I'll be upset because I don't really care who wins. But sure, Cam Newton. Hope he gets it.
I forget. I think the New York Times last year had this little interactive. There might have been like a video that they had that had all the breakdowns of how much pizza they sell that day and how it's responsible for such and such percentage of the earnings and just how many pounds of like chicken wings. And
No one's trying to cook on Super Bowl. Nope.
That's the thing. Like I remember during the NBA Finals when the Spurs played the Heat. I just went to Wingstop. I just placed an order. I called them to place an order.
Of course you did.
Not thinking it was just that it was a big deal that the Spurs were playing because the Spurs are boring. And I called them when I was at the island. And by the time I got back to my estate in Brownsville, that 35 minutes, I kept calling. They didn't answer because they were busy. And then when I finally got through, they're like, "Yeah, it's going to be like an hour wait for wings." So I can't imagine the Super Bowl how long the wait would be if you want to place an order for wings or pizzas.
Spurs are boring, GTFO. I agree. Spurs are not boring.
No, I'm saying they're boring to the average fan. I like seeing them play, but I think they're boring to the average fan.
Well, I mean, the average fan just wants to see Blake Griffin get highlight dunks and see the Clippers still lose by 10 points.
Take that back.
All Spurs do is win championships. Well, I mean, not here for the next couple seasons because it's going to be all Golden State, and they're going to sign Kevin Durant. They're going to win more championships.
Are they really?
Wojnarowski is reporting that they are seriously trying to figure out how to maneuver their cap and move some players. They can clear space to sign Kevin Durant.
Who would they have to get rid of?
Like Andrew Bogut and like not re-sign Harrison Barnes. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah, and Andrew Bogut's on a good contract, and Harrison Barnes, I mean, he's a good player.
I don't know why Durant would go there, though. No, he would go.
To win all of the games.
Yeah,
I know, but
yeah, to win all of the championships. That's why he would go play with Golden State.
Yeah, but he doesn't get credit for it.
Who cares?
I mean,
He cares. He's
he
the one that
will.
wants the credit for it.
I mean, even if like
Nobody's going to be like, yo, Kevin Durant's bad.
yeah, like oh.
Like, hey, you joined the bandwagon. That's what
I
it's
mean,
gonna be.
has anyone said it about LeBron James and his championships at the Heat?
No, because he ended up being the best player. He's not going to be the best player when Curry's there.
Okay, he'll
He
be
might be.
Okay, he'll be the third best player in the league overall, probably. So who cares? If I'm Kevin Durant,
It'll get the big three treatment.
if I'm Kevin Durant, I would absolutely go to Golden State. You kidding me? Oh my goodness, they would score like 150 points a game.
He's not a third banana.
He wouldn't be a third banana. You'd be
Be at worst second banana.
yeah, he'd be an awesome second banana.
I don't know.
What I don't Kevin Durant doesn't strike.
He doesn't seem like a
Kevin
second
Durant
banana.
doesn't strike me off. Doesn't strike me as this very selfish, all about me kind of player. Like
I don't know how he fits in there.
easily.
Probably good.
Good teams make it fit. Good teams make their teams fit. The good teams make players fit. And Golden State absolutely. like Draymond Green is like 6'7", but they play him as a small ball center, and they make it work because they're a good team. That's what good teams do. Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Durant would crush it with the Golden State Warriors. I know that Washington's a sexy pick because he's from that area, but
I don't think it is. They're a bad team.
right. But like, just in terms of storyline, it's an interesting pick. But
I don't always assume like you plug in star player into a really good team and it's going to keep going. I don't buy it all the time.
I absolutely think it would go. Oh my gosh, could you imagine the pick and pop that Kevin Durant and Steph Curry would run? How devastating!
Well, I remember
that would
when Kevin Love joined Cleveland, like imagine all the outlet passes he's going to throw, and how often does it
be. Well,
happen?
since they got rid of David Black, Kevin Durant's crushing it because they have a coach that knows how to use him now. Steve Kerr's a great coach, and Steph Curry is an amazing point guard.
If Steve Kerr took the Knicks job, how do you think they would have done?
It doesn't matter. That's beside the point. That is absolutely beside the point. Stop it.
Look at John. Look at John get mad.
Don't be well, like what you trying to like defend like Mark Jackson or something with that question? Like Steve Kerr is a good coach.
I'm not a Mark Jackson.
He's a good coach because he got out of the way and he let Steph Curry run things.
Here's what's going to happen.
What'd someone say about the Lakers in 2017? They're still going to be in the lottery? Probably, because what's that team going to do?
Billy Donovan's going to leave the Thunder to the title.
No.
And then Kevin Durant's going to re-sign.
Let me look up.
Easy Billy Donovan.
Imagine like the pick and pop that Kevin Durant and Westbrook, Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. Think how devastating that would be. How do you guard that?
Ben Simmons to the Lakers, bro.
I mean, it's in play.
Who cares? No one cares about the Lakers.
It's in play, but I think what's going to happen is what we see every year where you see that someone's the projected number one pick to start the year, and then someone sneaks up with a good tournament, and things switch. The
Curry plus Durant is no bueno. No, that would absolutely work here. Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant, between 16 feet and just inside the three-point line, he's shooting 45% from the field. From 10 to 16 feet, he's shooting 53% from the field. Imagine putting that into your offense. You've already got excellent three-point shooters. Now put that kind of mid-range jumper in your offense. Holy shit, who's guarding that? Who's guarding that? Seriously. And how are they going to make it work? How are they going to do it? How are these two really good players who are totally unselfish and would do anything to make their team succeed and have a good coach? How would they make this work? They would just make it work because they're professional basketball players and they're smart players.
Kawhi Leonard's going to guard that.
All by himself.
All by himself. Imagine Steph Curry dropping bombs from three, Klay Thompson dropping bombs from three, with that kind of mid-range threat, not to mention that kind of three-point threat. I mean, Kevin Durant still shoots 38% from three. You got to guard from there too. Oh my goodness. Have fun. Have fun, rest of the NBA, trying to stop that.
I just don't think it's always an automatic. You've seen things fail where people think that you sign the star player and it's going to get better, and then it either takes time or it doesn't fit in like you thought it would. Just like the Kevin Love thing with Cleveland.
Right, but I mean, then look at Boston. I mean, they won the championship with the Big Three the first year. But there was no question that because the X's and O's meshed. The basketball geography of the way that team was built meshed. That's exactly what would happen if Durant went to Golden State. There's no like, oh, how does he kind of handle without the like? No, I mean, even without the ball in his hands, teams still have to guard him because he's such a fantastic shooter. That's one less guy that has to worry about trying to double team Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. Like, oh my goodness. Like as a fan, I don't know how I would like it because the Warriors would be like, how do you guard them? But then like just as a basketball geek, like that, I would lose my mind. I watch them all the time. I would absolutely watch that team play, hands down.
I mean, you do it. I would do it because you're not giving up anything significant.
No, you're not. No, you're giving up Andrew Bogut, who doesn't really score. He's there for defense and rebounds. And Harrison Barnes, he's a nice young player, but no, take Kevin Durant over him anytime. Oh man. Oh, I want this to happen. I've talked myself into it. I'm all on board with this. I want Durant to go to Golden State. Oh,
I've never seen a 31.95 PER before.
dude, Steph Curry's a cheat code. Absolute cheat code. Remember the one time he got drafted like what, 9th overall? Who went before Steph Curry in the draft? Let's look this up right
Johnny
now.
I
Flynn.
mean, remember that time he played at David's?
Kevin Durant to the Lakers. Dude, Kevin Durant is not going to the Lakers. Sorry. Kevin Durant cares about this thing called winning, and the Lakers don't do that.
They've done it for like 7 decades.
If Kobe keeps trying to score 40 points in meaningless games to give his team take his team out of the top,
They're number 2. They're second.
they're second worst. Yeah, because if the Lakers don't stay in the top 3 in the draft, they don't get their pick.
I know, but they're not going to deliberately botch it.
You say that, and then Kobe still goes out there and tries to win meaningless games against meaningless teams.
I mean, I don't think he's trying to he's not going to lay down.
Nah, Durant and Westbrook are not going to LA together. Nope. Not going to happen.
I mean, it's happened
Like, good player. Like, what do they have though? Like, good players.
They have Randall.
Right, but they're young guys, and who knows what kind of players those guys are.
I know, but Beal's a young guy.
Like, when was the last time an established
Real deal.
When was the last time an established all-star or an established like Hall of Fame contender was like, yeah, let me go play with guys who were like 19 years old and I have no idea what they are. Like, if you're Kevin Durant, and you have a chance to go play for the Lakers with Julius Randle and D'Angelo Russell,
you take the first.
or you could go play with Golden State with Curry and Thompson, that's a no-brainer. Absolutely, it's a no-brainer.
I think
It was one of the reasons like this happened with the Spurs over the summertime. Like, where's LaMarcus Aldridge going to go? Is he going to go to the Spurs or is he going to go to Phoenix? And everyone's like, oh, he should go to Phoenix because they're younger. It's like, no, he's going to go to San Antonio because he's going to play with a group of grown-ass men that know what they're doing. This is a guy that wants to win right now. He doesn't care about 5 years down the line for Phoenix.
Well, he got paid. That's what he doesn't really.
No, because he didn't get paid. Portland offered him way more money. Could have offered him way more money. He didn't care about getting paid. He wanted to be in a winning situation.
No state tax, Texas.
Well, still, like he could have gotten another $30 million from Portland because they could have given him a 5-year max instead of a 4-year max that he got from San Antonio.
I know, but I don't think the years matter as much when the cap's going to change.
But he left $30 million on the table. Do you not understand? He left $30 million on the table to go play with San Antonio.
I'm sure when the taxes, playoff money.
It's still $30 million. Did you not hit 30?
I know, but I'm saying.
Greg, help me out here. Right?
$30 million, a lot of money.
$30 million is a lot of money, regardless if you have $300 million or $150 million. $30 million is still a lot of money. It's $30 million he's not going to get. So, no, I don't buy. Like, what do the Lakers have? Durant would want it to be 40% of the reason why the team won. Why do you? How can you say that though? Like that's just pure conjecture.
What?
That like Durant wants to be like 40% of the reason why a team wins the title. Like, how do we know that? Like, because he said this. Like, to me, he seems like one of the most unselfish players in the league.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that plays with Russell Westbrook, and Russell Westbrook is one of the most unfairly criticized players in the league, and that dude always has Westbrook's back, always. Like he's a consummate team player. Like,
Why do you think he's unfair?
huh?
Why do you think?
Well, because he gets criticized for being a ball hog and all this stuff.
Fair. He's a ball hog.
I don't know if this is unfair.
I know he
Is
gets
he?
like 10 assists or whatever.
Is he a
it
ball
is.
hog though? I don't. But like he is so criticized despite being so good. Like Westbrook's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. He just has to win one title that would solidify. He's a borderline Hall of Famer right now if he keeps playing the way he is for the rest of his career. And he's so heavily criticized for so many stupid reasons, and we never hear it from Durant. Durant's like, no, man, that's my guy. Like, what? He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And that kind of, you're telling me that kind of guy won't mesh with Steph Curry? LOL.
Actually, like on the U.S. national team, but I don't think he wants to go into a situation where it's already.
He dropped in popularity on Curry. Like, no, he won't. As long as you're in a winning situation, you're always popular. You're always popular. Like Cam Newton. Like, no one cared who this guy was like 2 years ago. Not saying no one cared, but like you didn't see his jersey all over the place 2 years ago. Now he's in the Super Bowl and you see him winning. Like, winning is winning regardless of where it is. Am I right?
You're right.
A lot of people, there's just different people like to win and different people like to be the guy.
Man. Spurs aren't popular until they win a championship. Yeah, I can see that. The sex appeal for the Spurs is low, but I think they like it that way. They just go about their business.
What's San Antonio?
Dude, all in favor of Durant going to the Warriors? Say aye.
Aye.
Oh yeah, 2-1. Oh, if the basketball gods are real.
Just for the lulz.
If the basketball gods are real, let that happen. Imagine all the outlet passes to, oh my god, all the alley-oops. Oh.
Lob City?
Lob City. That'd be the real Lob City. Let's do it.
Whatever happened to Lob City?
Guys, let's make this happen. Can we please make this happen?
They're in a room with some playmates.
I haven't heard of Lob City in a while.
I'm going to start, because Blake Griffin's hurt.
Oh, okay.
And everyone got over the fact that, like, they can't get out of the Western Conference Finals. They've never even been in the Western Conference Finals, have they? No.
Watch an All-Star game over and over.
Oh, let's do this. Spurs need Duncan to stay healthy. That's true. That is very true. That is absolutely true. And they also need Golden State to not be so good. That's what they need to. Like, just put the season on ice. Can we just give the title to Golden State right now?
Just call it.
No one's beating Golden State 4 times in 7 games, especially with Golden State having home court advantage.
Might be injuries.
Huh? If they stay healthy, yeah, injuries, sure. But if they stay healthy, no, there's no way.
They're
Warriors should sign Kwame Brown.
Oh, wow.
Can he be their mascot? Kwame Brown be the Warriors' mascot?
the Warriors like one Draymond Green ankle tweak from being challenged by San Antonio.
True. But I said they're healthy. Healthy is the key word. They're healthy. No one's beating them.
And not every team's healthy down the line.
All right, we ready to call it a night, guys?
Greg needs to do laundry.
I gotta do laundry. I'm gonna be up at 6.
Durant Warriors tour. It's gonna be fun.
Woo, woo. See you guys next week. Oh, 10% battery remaining, guys. We just made it.
Nailed it.
You had